My Audi TT motor used to look like this. It now looks like this. I've always wanted an Audi TT since high school, so I decided I was gonna buy the cheapest Audi TT I could find, and I bought this TT for $1,200, which I knew that the timing belt was bad, so I tried to replace the timing belt. That didn't work, so I wanted to see what happened to the cylinder head. I pulled the cylinder head off. Cylinder head was bad, and I knew I had to get a new motor. Now that I got you guys up to speed, now it is time to see if this motor is actually gonna start. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done because we need to hook up all the electrical and then try to start it for the first time. So that's what we're gonna be doing today, so stay tuned. Now before we do get into working on the TT and making sure that this thing will start, I sorta had a little accident.
You dumbass.
And that little minor hit did a ton of damage. It's all busted. Now, unfortunately, I didn't record taking it apart because I was pretty mad at myself. Let's put these on the car so my wife can have her car back. Now that we got the Tesla done, let's get to work on the TT. Now, if you did see from the last video, we did get the motor in. It's solid, it's in there, it's not going anywhere. Motor's back on. Now it's time to do the part that I've been dreading, and we have to figure out this mess of wires. Now the good thing is that I did label some of these, so it does give me a reference point, but I think I'm gonna start with the wires that I do know where that they go and start up there and work my way around. Wish me luck. Looks like we got all the wires up top looking really good. I'm pretty sure that I have them all in the right spot. Now, I did label all these, and all these go to the air compressor and the other side, so I'm gonna continue to keep plugging it away.
He said it! He said it!
Now with all the wires for the AC compressor and everything on this side, I think that we can hook in the starter and then start plugging in the rest of this stuff. Now I think that we can hook up the power steering pump, AC compressor, and the alternator. One step closer. So now that we got everything hooked up over here, I went ahead and I connected the shift cables. Now I'm thinking that the next thing that we should do in this TT before we get too far is to put the gladI, not really, kind of a small turbo. It's time to install the turbo. We have a slight problem. You see, I had to pull the motor back out of the TT because there's the motor. I had to pull it back out. And that's because there is a bracket that holds the turbo, which you can't see, that was bent, so the turbo was not lining up, but I bent it back. I ended up hooking up the turbo, and I figured instead of fighting it all over again, might as well hook up all the lines. So all the lines are hooked up, and this thing's about ready to go back in. Now that we have all the lines hooked up, let's make some YouTube magic happen. Now there are 3 things that you need when trying to obviously start any car: fuel, air, spark. Well, we need spark plugs. So we gotta hook up all the hoses for the vacuum lines on this. So I think that we're gonna start by doing that. I also have recently learned why people love German engineering. I mean, this is crazy. It took me 2 days to replace the motor in the Acadia. This is like going on like 2 weeks. Like, German engineering is super complicated. over the last few hours, I've been trying to figure out what this goes to. And apparently on some of the 1.8s, there's an extra vent tube. If you see down here, there's actually 2 parts here. And on this one, if you see, there is only 1. So I'm thinking that if I plug off this right here, that it's just a vacuum line. It will be okay, I think. So now I think that we got all the air vents, everything ran on this. It's looking awesome. And as we know, this tube is just gonna get blocked off. So I think we're gonna be okay there. But I think it's time that we start adding the coolant reservoir, power steering, all that stuff over here. So we can start filling this thing up with some fluids. Now, if you guys remember earlier, I said you need 3 things: fuel, air, and spark. So we gotta hook up the spark plugs so we can finally start this thing. Let's put in some spark plugs. Now that we got everything hooked up, we have spark, we should have fuel. Now it's time to hook up the battery and give this thing a go. Well, now it's the time, the moment of truth to see if all this hard work paid off. I'm a little nervous about this. Put my foot on the brake just in case, because we have no clutch, because we gotta bleed it. Ready?
Okay.
Well, there's no coolant in it. Come on. Come on, it wanted to. Come on. Yes! 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 It started! Yes! It started! Oh, it's so awesome. Even though if we had the fuel, we did have, I had the coolant and fuel line mixed up, and we did kind of shoot fuel everywhere, but we're good. We're good. Well, the Audi starts. Looks like I did everything right. Timing belt, everything. We did have a slight issue with mixing up a couple lines, but we're not gonna talk about that. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see me finish putting this together and actually take it for a test drive, be sure to hit that subscribe button. This video is over, and peace. Why are the windshield wiper blades on? How do you turn those off?